Welcome back to the Do Hard Things Today podcast. This is Kevin Harris and Jed Blackwell. We're helping you optimize your life, especially in these four areas of fitness, family, finances, and faith. You know, we're well into 2026 now. You know, about a month in, we've talked about resolutions, talked about different things, and today we're going to talk about something. You know, we always end the podcast with Do Hard Things Today, and tomorrow will take care of itself. And I wanted to break that down even further. And you know, Jed, I was thinking about something of, you know, you think about the minute that we're in right now. We're probably, this podcast is probably 15, 20 minutes. The minute you're in right now very quickly turns into an hour. And that hour very quickly turns into a day. And that day very quickly turns into a week. Week turns into months. Months turns into years. And then your years define your life. And you look up and it's like, wow, I'm 52 years old. Where'd that 52 years go? Right. But it all started with that minute, which started with 60 seconds. And you know, the goal of today's podcast is for you to see the power of being in the now, in the moment, and how much control you really do have over the trajectory of your life. And so we're going to discuss a couple of things, you know, another quick podcast, you know, just to encourage and challenge you. So are you in control of your present reality? That's what I would pose to our listeners. You think about where you are. Think about all the different things in your life. Think about the different areas. Think about, again, you think about those areas. We call them the four tires of a car: the fitness, family, finances, faith. Think about those areas. Where are you out of balance now? Where's that tire, you know, wobbling and pulling you off the side of the road? What's your present reality look like? And you know, we've talked about road maps before, and when you're going on a trip, you got to know where you are, you got to know where you're starting, and you got to know where you're going. And sometimes it's hard to really take that hard look and say, where am I right now? And why am I here? You know, it is, Jeb, you've been very open before. You know, our point two is that worry and projection into the future can paralyze you. And what is projection? You know, you talk about a projector. We all remember the little projectors when we were in school, and they were projecting a movie up on the wall. You go to any movie, they've got a projector that's projecting a scene up on the wall. But when you worry and project, you can probably speak really clear to this. What do you do?
It's almost like you're speaking into existence the negative things that can happen.
Yeah.
Whether you intend to or not, worrying and not taking corrective action if it needs to be taken, or just letting whoever's in charge of whatever you're worried about take care of it. Usually it manifests in some negative things on the actual reality end of it.
Yeah, and you're actually playing a movie in your mind.
Yep.
You're thinking, these are the things that are going to happen. And you know, when you're watching a movie, Jed, or watching a TV show or something, and that eerie music comes on, when that eerie music comes on, what do you know's about to happen?
Something bad.
Something bad's about to happen.
Something bad.
Something's about to go down. And I think we do the same thing where we start worrying about something. We start playing this movie out in our mind. And it's like, okay, something bad's about to happen. Something's about to go down here. And then we start looking. And what are we doing? We're looking for the boogeyman around every corner. And then what does it do? It paralyzes us. And when you get paralyzed, what do? When you're paralyzed, you what? You can't move.
You don't do anything.
Yeah, and you don't do anything. Well, then what happens? Then what happens is all the things and other environmental things around you, they start happening to you. And you've got no defenses for them. And you're just laying there taking it all.
When I read the first 2 points on the text you sent me to prepare for the podcast, my favorite singer-songwriter is a guy out of Texas named Robert Earl Keen. He turned 70 last week.
Wow.
And a bunch of his contemporaries and a bunch of guys that follow him have recut some of his songs, and they're all on YouTube. And this podcast reminds me of one of his songs. It's one of my favorite ones of his songs, and it's about as philosophical as I get. And it speaks to everything you're saying here. And the chorus of the song is, I am guilty of a dreadful, selfish crime. I have robbed myself of all my precious time.
Ooh.
And that's because you're worrying.
Yeah.
Because you're wasting time worrying about things that you can't control.
Ooh. Say that again.
I have robbed myself of all my precious time.
Wow. Wow. It's so true, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's so true. That's what worry does. And worry not only does it, you start worrying and thinking about these things and projecting out bad things and all the bad things that could happen. And then that actually hurts your health.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it makes everything go sideways for you. But man, that's good. Old Robert Earl Keen.
Now, he can't sing a lick. He's got one of the worst voices you'll ever hear. But man, he can write a song.
Yeah, he's got a good Christmas song. Merry Christmas from the family.
He does.
Yeah, that not as philosophical as
well,
the one
in a different way, maybe.
In different ways. Third thing I'll say is that there's always tomorrow. Maybe there's not.
Mm-mm.
Maybe there's not.
No.
I mean, literally, maybe there's not. But you know what the problem with tomorrow is? Tomorrow never comes.
No, right.
Garth Brooks sings about that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow never comes. But as a side note, but if you get into a pattern of tomorrow, you're going to spend your entire life saying tomorrow.
Because now it's today.
Now it's today, and those minutes turn into days, and those days turn into weeks. And then you're going down this path and nothing changes. Theo Vaughn, I was listening to one of his podcasts, and he made a comment. He said, hey, man, he said, nothing, you know how he talks, he got that real country. He said, man, nothing changes if nothing changes, man. Yep. And it was so poignant of, he's very open about his background and just struggles and things he's had and continues with, but he says, man, nothing changes if nothing changes, man. And I think that's so simple, but so true. Mm-hmm. Man, if you really want change in your life, then you got to change something.
Yeah, change something.
You got to take a different path. And then, when you talk about changing, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. We're talking about it at Saban, in the podcast we did a few podcasts ago, where he said, man, there are things that you need to do to be successful. Do you have the guts to do them? There are things you need to cut out of your life to be successful. Do you have the guts to cut them out? So simple, but so hard. Those things. Right now you're listening and you're thinking of one or two things that, man, I need to be doing this right now. I need to start doing this right now. You're also thinking one or two things like, I need to cut this out of my life right now. Right now. Do you have the guts to do it?
Sometimes knowing what you need to do speaks to something that's difficult to do. And it reminds me of the best story I've read in the past 2 weeks. And I can't remember if the lady was French or British, but she was one or the other. I'm not going to give you the time frame because it's going to spoil the point of the story. But she's a weather forecaster. And she saw where everybody else was predicting fair weather. Her specialty was reading barometers. She took barometer readings every day. She knew what happened when the barometer said a certain thing. And she saw a barometric reading that usually occurred, in her experience, 2 days before a major weather event. And there was an important project going on. She didn't know whether to sound the alarm or not, but it kept nagging at her that data point was always a couple of days before a pretty major weather phenomenon. And she struggled with it and struggled with it and struggled with it. And you know what? That's my job. This is what I do. I'm supposed to kick this up the chain, so that's what I'm going to do. So she reported her data point and what her findings were from the historical data on that point. She delayed D-Day by 2 days. Wow. And the English Channel would have been impassable.
Yeah. Wow.
When the Allies were trying to land in France, the water would have been churned up so much that it would have overturned the U-boats.
Wow. I've never heard that story.
I hadn't until the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, it goes back to everything we're talking about, how one thing has such an effect on everything that follows. Because if she doesn't make that report, then how is the invasion even successful?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, she knew what she needed to do.
Yeah.
And she
did it. Yep.
Yeah. And she did it. And that's, you're the stakes probably aren't quite as high in the decisions that we're making, but they're just as high stakes for your personal life as that is, because those things that you need to do, they're going to move you towards another level that you probably don't realize you can get to, which will then allow you to continue to progress. And, and that's the thing. People talk about exceptional people. I heard a good quote one time, and it was talking about, there's this false belief out there that exceptional people they're just exceptional and they just do exceptional things. And that's just not true. Exceptional people have become masters at becoming slaves to the little thing and doing the little things exceptionally well. And it's why when you watch people that are really, really good at basketball, they go out and you'll find them usually they're starting at the rim and just doing right-handed, left-handed little lay-ins, and then they back up and they do a little bank shot, and then they're shooting free throws over and over and over, hundreds of them. Tiger Woods, in his book, and it talks about how many chip shots he would take, and that his dad he would be playing with his dad, and he'd throw the ball over in just places that just like, there's no way I can get this ball out of here, and he'd make him. It's like, no, you may find yourself here one day, so figure it out. And that's how he figured out how to scramble and do those things.
Well, even Bruce Lee, they asked him how he became so proficient. He said, a master does not practice 10,000 kicks. A master practices one kick 10,000 times.
That's right. Well, because if you become a master of that one kick, you don't need another kick.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't need another kick. And those are the things that we, I think for most of us, sadly, and I think, man, the most technologically advanced thing in the history of our world is probably sitting right in front of us, which is a little iPhone. Yeah. That is literally has more computing power than anything when we were younger, than the biggest computer that there was out there.
Right.
I mean, it's changed everything, even like with education and like universities and things. Every piece of information that you need in your life is right in front of you on that phone. You're teaching people to interact with it now. You don't go there to learn and them to give you the information. No, you're having to learn how to interact with information now. But I think it has also really, really stalled our growth, our personal growth.
Yes.
And I don't think about this, Jed. How many people do you know that have really mastered anything?
Only a couple.
Yeah.
Really, only a couple.
I mean, and you think about that. Think about how sad that is. We don't spend the time and invest in ourselves enough to master anything.
Those people that I know are also the most disciplined people that I know. Mm-hmm. And that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's not. Well, hey, they just minute by minute, day by day, week by week, they do the things that they need to do to be able to be successful and to become that to master that kick. Because you got to do it. You can't master a kick by doing it 500 times.
Right.
You got to do it 10,000 times to master it. And then when you master it, there's a huge difference. You put those two people together, and you can tell. No, this person's the master. This person is the amateur.
Right.
We're trying to become masters at our own lives. And then the last thing is to determine a path. You really only need 2 data points. We've talked about this in previous podcasts. Where am I now, and where am I going? Where am I now, and where am I going? Guys, minutes turn into a lifetime. The minutes that you're listening to this podcast now, and then you'll get off of this podcast, and maybe you'll be like me when I listen to most podcasts and things. I feel a little bit challenged, a little bit juiced up, want to go take on the world. Put these things in place. Where am I now? Where am I wanting to go? And then what do I need to do about that right now? minutes turn into a lifetime. And if you'll do the hard things today, you'll do the hard things every minute, tomorrow will take care of itself.